Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining the day one training session. This is Kiran, the trainer. Let me share my screen and we'll get started. Can anyone quickly confirm if my screen share is visible?
Yes, Kiran.
Yeah, we can see.
Perfect. Okay. So quick recap. Yesterday, we had a small demo for 1 hour where I was explaining all you guys what exactly I teach in this course, and I hope everyone found it fruitful. Few of the folks personally messaged and also on the WhatsApp group to get few of their queries clarified. I've requested them to join today's class and tomorrow's class as well, so that more of their queries will be clarified. And our yesterday's video is also available on our website. You can check our website URL for the entire course curriculum and the demonstration video. Today, we'll quickly get started with chapter 1. So in chapter 1, today I will try to talk about overview of software testing techniques and testing methodologies. This is a quick recap, in fact, about software testing. It has nothing to do with accessibility testing. And slowly we'll come towards non-functional testing, where accessibility testing is part of it, right? Instead of writing one line that says, this is the definition of accessibility testing, and accessibility testing comes under non-functional, right? It takes only 1 minute to say that. But to ensure that every participant understands the prerequisites as well, right? So I've taken these two topics based on the feedback that I receive in every batch, that if we cover the basics also, it will be good. So let us talk about this thing. And I'm sure most of you are aware of it, but probably let's try to make it a little interesting, right? So when we talk about software testing, there are so many testing techniques that are available in software testing process, right? Everyone has their own definition, their own answers. Let's try to demystify that. And before I talk about software testing techniques or the types, let us try to define what is software testing. And I'm sure everyone is aware of it, right? So instead of defining, I would say, if we have to talk about its primary objective and secondary objective, what would that be? Right? So assume this is an interview, and then this is like a do or die situation, right? When someone says, I'm interested to know what is the primary objective and secondary objective for software testing, then how would we answer that question, right? So I would say when anyone in the industry says, what exactly is the primary objective of software test engineers when they do software testing? The answer is never to find bugs. Finding bugs is never a primary objective. So the primary objective is to ensure the application under test or the application that's currently developed by the developer meets the functional requirements given in the requirements document, right? That's our primary objective, right? So if I have to write it, I will say the AUT, the application under test, has to match the defined functional requirements as specified in your document, let's say SRS document. This is our primary objective of software testing. And this is not my definition. This is as per ISTQB. Then what is the secondary objective, which we thought as primary objective, which is typically the test engineer says, I'm here to find bugs, right? Yeah, that's your secondary objective, not the primary objective, right? So I would say unearth as many bugs as possible in the AUT. So discover as many bugs as possible in the application under testing. That's your secondary objective. Okay, now that we know the primary objective, secondary objective, let us talk about the different software testing techniques, right? So I would say software testing. First, I'll say types, because people say, how many types are there? How many techniques are there? So there is always a bit of confusion there. We get confused. Let's try to again demystify that. So when I say software testing types, we have 3 types, which is your black box testing, white box testing, gray box testing. And I'm sure you guys have heard of it multiple times. So in black box testing, what we do is we test the application under test with various inputs and validate the output in each case, which is like I write 5 test cases. Each test case will take a different combination of inputs, and I verify the response coming from the server. That's typically your black box testing. A quick example of that would be, so if I say, let us take a simple application. So we'll take this login as an example, as we can easily understand it. So we know that upon providing a valid username and valid password, I log in, right? So this black box testing says test this login functionality, or test this forgot your password functionality, or test this registration functionality with the different data, with the different test data. So email address, I will say abcd@game.com, password some nonsense, and I click on login. And I see an error message because the credentials are not valid. I know that I have to receive an error when I make a mistake, and my server has given an error saying you made a mistake, right? So that's one test case. Second test case could be without password, I click on login and it says, please fill this form. So I type the password, but I don't type the email. I click on login. It says, please enter email address. I enter something, but the format is missing. It stays @ is mandatory. And then g.com, I will say, and in the password, I'll give some spaces. I click login. And sometimes I test with remember me checked in, without remember me checked in. So different combinations of test data is what I'm checking through, right? Typically that comes under your black box testing. So I would say validate the application and the test with different types of test data to validate the server response, right? And when I say different types of test data, we talk about valid data, sometimes invalid data, etc. And then that's where you talk about boundary value analysis, equivalence class partitioning, error guessing. There are so many techniques within black box testing, right? We get into all those things. Okay. So I'm not teaching you again those techniques because they're not necessary that I have to go so depth now. Then when it comes to white box testing, this is typically attempted by testing developers. Black box testing is conducted by, so maybe here I have to say, this is attempted by test engineers. Mostly you, me, all the software test engineers do this. When it comes to white box testing, it is attempted by developers. We don't do it. So I would say this is attempted by developers. Why should they do it? Because the definition of white box testing is not just provide some input or application data and validate. Developers won't say, Kiran, I will test this application. They will check the source code. So they have this kind of source code in their editors, right? So they test this kind of source code. They check whether the source code written by them is working correctly. Is there any dead code? Is there any dry code? Is there a code without comments? Did I write a function properly? Am I calling the functions? Is there a better method I can use than this? Do we have a revised method that provides more security or provides a robust performance, etc.? So they look at the code level aspects. They don't get into the input and output process. So I would say validate, or I would say it's a verify the code, verify the source code. I would say review and validate the source code developed. That's typically your white box testing, mostly done by developers. Gray box testing, as you know, it is black box testing plus white box testing. Now, this is typically done again by developers or sometimes few test engineers who claim them as SDETs. So attempted by SDETs, I would say, software development engineers in testing process. Okay, so that's at a nutshell, these simple topics. I'll take a pause here. Any questions to me? Okay. Guys, you can ask me questions if there are any. Okay, let's move forward. We'll talk about software testing techniques. Right? Now, when I say testing techniques, there are ample number of testing techniques that we have. Right. So you have heard of ad hoc testing, exploratory testing, retesting, regression testing, functional testing. Then what else you have? You have user acceptance testing, alpha testing, beta testing, branch testing. Then there's monkey testing, gorilla testing. So there are so many such testing techniques, right? Again, you have compatibility testing, usability testing, accessibility testing. So many testing techniques are there, right? So I don't want to write all of them, but I would like to write few things that actually provides more insights for us. Okay. Yeah, someone said smoke testing, sanity testing. Yeah, that's also correct. And Saidip says, can we call black box as functional testing? Yes, that's also correct. Saidip, you can call black box testing as functional testing also. So many names given to black box. So black box is also called as functional testing, closed box testing, opaque box testing, and white box testing is also called as non-functional testing. It is also called as uh, transparent box testing or open box testing or glass box testing. So many other definitions are also there. I mean, synonyms are there. Now, under software testing techniques, let us talk about important things, which is functional testing, and there is something else called non-functional testing. In functional testing, we focus on the functional aspects of the application, such as when I give this input, what kind of output do I get from the server? So if I say 3 plus 3, am I getting 6 from server or am I getting 33 or something else? That's typically your functional testing. Something like if I get into Amazon.in and put the cart size as 100, can I still make a payment? Amazon rejects that you cannot buy products in bulk. So that's functional testing, where you are testing if I can buy 100 products by adding them to shopping cart. Right? So functional testing is a process of testing the functionality of the developed application by providing different types of inputs. Then in non-functional testing, we don't focus on functional aspects. Rather, we focus on non-functional aspects such as, is the application performing well when a lot of users are using the application on the production? Is the application providing much reliability factor to the users? As soon as the application goes down, does it come up immediately? Is the application providing security to the users when they make a payment online? Or is their credit card details stolen by hackers in between? Non-functional testing focuses on whether your application is accessible on multiple browsers, multiple operating systems. Like this, we focus on several non-functional testing aspects. Okay. So examples of non-functional testing includes, security testing, performance testing, compatibility testing or compliance testing. Then you have reliability testing, load testing, stress testing, soak testing, usability testing, accessibility testing, right, etc. There are so many testing techniques under non-functional testing. Maybe I can also write UI, UX testing. So many testing techniques comes under non-functional. So in all these things, I don't verify if 2 plus 2 is 4. I verify whether my response is safe and secure. The input data I have given to server, is it safe and secure? Am I able to work with the application on different form factors, different screen devices, different screen resolutions, different operating systems, different browser versions? If the application suddenly goes down, will I get it back? Example of reliability testing, right? When I make a Google payment, GPay, when I do a GPay or a phone pay to some number, the money is credited to that account, but suddenly the server realizes that that account is blocked. So will I get back my money immediately? The answer is yes. I get back my money in just a matter of 30 seconds to 1 minute. So the server detected the money, but immediately gave it back to me as a refund because that guy doesn't exist or that number doesn't exist. That's typically how fast your server can recover from a failure scenario. That's also called as a reliability testing. Now, why am I teaching these two things, right? I will tell you. Okay, I will answer that, all these things by the end of the class. Then going further, in software testing, we also have something called manual testing and automation testing. Now, what is manual testing? Manual testing is a process where you write the test cases, you execute the test cases, you find the test cases which are failing, and then you go to the bug tracking tool and you raise bugs, saying, okay, developer, I'm unable to upload a file when I have entered login credentials. So that's a bug, please fix it. Right? So manual testing is all about designing your test cases, which is manual process, executing the test cases, which is manual process, writing the bugs in the bug tracking tool, which is again manual process. Every one of us have started our career as a manual test engineer, and that's what we do in manual testing. The problem in manual testing is it's a boring process, it's a time-consuming process, it's a laborious process. It's a very costly affair as well, because every tester has to spend their 8 hours of time every day to release the product into the production. And the advantage is it is most trustworthy testing technique. When it comes to automation testing, we try to automate the manual efforts. Like I say, I'm writing the test cases manually. Can I automate it? Like, can I use some artificial intelligence tool and then automate my test case designing? If the answer is yes, okay, I have automation testing. And I'm executing the test cases manually. But can I automate the execution process also by integrating with tools like Jenkins or GitHub Actions, and then schedule a time that every day in the morning at 10 o'clock, execute my scripts and send a report. And the Jenkins tool does that. So that's automated. And when I find one of the test script is failing, I have to go to the Jira tool and raise a bug. That's manual process. What if I write a API and run it from Postman tool and then say, every time you see a failure, execute this API via Jenkins. And that API will automatically create a bug in Jira tool or your bug tracking tool. So writing the test cases is automated. Executing test cases is automated. Writing a bug into the Jira tool or bug tracking tool is also automated. That process is called as automation testing. So in automation testing, we use so many tools. Selenium we talk about. Selenium is an automation testing tool, but it helps you only to execute the test cases. It won't help you to design the test cases. It's manual effort again. Writing a bug is also manual. Writing a script is manual. Only execution is automated. When you click on run, it executes automatically. But again, you have to click on run button. So all the automation tools that you are learning in your career, or that I have learned in my career, they're all semi-automation tools. Selenium tool, Playwright tool, Postman tool, Rest Assured, Jmeter, Gatling, any tool that you mention, all of them are semi-automation testing tools. When you think of automating test case design, test case execution, and writing bugs in the bug tracking tool, that's when you say, we have done full length automation testing. Every company, every organization is moving towards full length automation testing. Not today. It's been 5 years. Every company is thinking in that line. Okay. Okay. Any questions from anyone until this point on functional testing, non-functional testing, manual testing, automation testing? Okay, I see a question from Saidik. Who will write the code to automate bugs in Jira? Of course, test engineer. We have to write. If you are doing an automation, then we have to do that process also. Okay, there is a solution even for that in few of the automation tools. Then another way I can classify testing techniques is you have positive testing, negative testing. Then you have something called destructive testing. So if I talk about positive testing, this is a testing technique which attempts to prove that the application will work. Meaning my mind is so optimistic. I want to tell the audience, like my developers, my manager, or my customer, that the application my developer has developed is working. And these are the test cases I'm executing before you, and it will pass. So positive testing tells that I am trying to prove that the application will work without fail. So your mind is positive. So when do I do positive testing? Not every day. Whenever I have a release to the customer, I do positive testing to see if every functionality is working. Because I want everything to work. Then if I have to give a demo to my manager in the evening, manager says, Kiran, I need a demo from you. Then to the manager, I don't want to show bugs, right? I want to show him that the application is working. So that's when I do positive testing. So whenever you have demos to important stakeholders in the project, you do positive testing. Okay. And during user acceptance testing, which is UAT process, right? That's when you do positive testing as well. Okay. So here, the intention of this activity is to prove the application under test works as expected. And this is conducted during demos to stakeholders, UAT process, and whenever you do smoke testing, etc. This is when we do positive testing. And we do positive testing not in the initial builds, probably towards the end of the project, towards the end of the, as soon as you approach the release cycle. So I will say during release cycles. So during the sprint end or sprint closure activities. This is when we do positive testing. Then you have negative testing, obviously opposite of positive testing. So what we do in negative testing is we try to prove that the application under test fails. Your test cases will fail. That is your intention to test. And you want to show bugs to your audience like developers or managers or anyone. And when do we do negative testing? As soon as you get a build from developer, during the sprint initial days, you will do negative testing. Whenever there is no demo to the customers, you focus more on negative testing so that you can find as many bugs as possible so the developer can fix all those things by the time the demo period will come. Okay? So the intention of this activity is to prove the application under test doesn't works as expected. And this is conducted during initial sprint cycles when the build is released to QA and when no demos are scheduled, etc. Like that, we do negative testing. So in negative testing only, we find bugs. In positive testing, we will never find bugs because we don't want to find bugs. Okay, this is an optimistic approach and negative testing is a kind of pessimistic approach. Then what is destructive testing? So destructive testing is much beyond negative testing. In destructive testing, I'm not interested in finding a bug. I'm interested in proving that the developed system will fail when I inject a lot of test data to the server. So destructive testing examples would be your penetration testing or load testing, stress testing, where you test your server for lakhs of records data being injected. So your server can go down, your database can go down, which means you are doing destructive action. Manual testers will be impacted. Developers will be impacted. Customers will be impacted because the server is down because you are testing it so bad with volumes of data. That's called as destructive testing. Because I want to check how the kind of load the server can handle. So when I add 3 items to shopping cart, it's okay. When I add 30 items to shopping cart, it's okay. What if I add 3,000 items to shopping cart? That's destructive, right? And if one person is buying a product in Amazon, it's okay. What if 1 lakh people are buying at the same time? Can server handle 1 lakh payments at the same time? Can 1 lakh logins at the same time? 1 lakh browsing at the same time? Concurrent users. That's destructive testing. Okay. So to do destructive testing, you need permissions in the project. I cannot decide that, okay, today I will do destructive testing. I need permission from manager. And you should know what do you mean by destructive testing and does your project demand it? If yes, do you have the expertise to do destructive testing? Do you have those tools? Do you have the test data ready for 1 lakh users or 10,000 users or 20,000 users or 20 lakh users? Are you okay if your server goes down for 1 hour? Because the entire team will be impacted. Right? So that's your destructive testing. People also do destructive testing in bigger organizations. When you think your application will be used by lakhs of users across the world, all e-commerce applications goes through destructive testing. Okay. Yeah. So we have discussed all these things, right? So I wanted to I wanted to obviously help you understand these basic things first before we get into the actual topic. But there is some catch here. I wanted to show that as well. Let me highlight so we can see it. Now we are all here to know about accessibility testing, right? I will talk about the definition, but if I talk about accessibility testing, does it fall under BBT or WBT or GBT? Okay, that is the first thing I want to answer. Accessibility testing is black box testing, which means it is conducted by you and me. If the developer is doing, then he calls it as WBT. Second thing, is it functional testing or non-functional testing? Then I would say, okay, this sometimes is also WBT. And here I would say it is non-functional testing. So accessibility testing is never a functional testing. It is a non-functional testing technique. Then should we do manual testing or should we do automation testing in accessibility testing? The answer is both, manual plus automation. Meaning accessibility testing can be done manually. Accessibility testing can be done through automation as well. Okay. Then, is it positive testing or is it negative testing or is it destructive testing? And this is typically a positive testing. Okay. I cannot call accessibility as destructive and I don't supply any negative data in accessibility testing. So it comes under positive testing only. But the concept of positive testing in accessibility is a little different. I will explain that slowly, so don't get confused. So I would say accessibility testing comes under non-functional testing. It can be conducted in manual process, which I'm teaching. It will also be done through tooling process, which is automation that I'm teaching. It comes under sometimes white box, sometimes black box, and it comes under positive testing. Okay. Now, if I have to say, what is the definition first? It comes under these things, which is okay, a tricky way to answer it. But what is the definition of accessibility testing? And what is the family under which accessibility testing comes? So I will say accessibility testing comes under usability testing. So usability testing, I'm sure you guys have heard of usability testing, right? It talks about how usable your application is after it is developed to the users. Like if I say WhatsApp, is it a usable application? Few say yes, few say no. I will say yes, WhatsApp is a usable application. Why? I'll give examples. I can quickly send a message to anyone in the world anywhere. So it's usable. Two, I can do a video call to any person across the world without paying any charges. Right? I can do a video call with my sister who is in United States. At any point of time I want, I can do that without any charges. So that's usable. Third one, if I have to communicate with all of you, I can create a group in WhatsApp and I can communicate with you. That's what I'm doing, right? So it's usable. According to Kiran, there are 3 reasons. Now I'll take my mother, right? Now my mom doesn't speak English, but is she using WhatsApp application? Yes, she still uses WhatsApp application. Now she knows how to open the group, the family group, and see the messages. And if there is a birthday celebration, she has to type happy birthday, but she cannot type happy birthday because she is not good at English. So what she does, in the group, you have an option to record an audio, right? So she taps that audio button And then she tells, hey, happy birthday to XYZ, and then releases that. And then the message goes. So she is able to use WhatsApp application, right? I mean, imagine so many people in the world who are not literates, who are not literates in English, who are not literates in some language, who are not literates in using technologies like WhatsApp or smartphones or computers. But WhatsApp simplified that. Just press this icon, speak whatever you want, release it, the message will go. And you can tap on the play button and see if it is good or not. If it is good, okay. If it is not good, delete it. So she's able to use. And can they do video call on their own? Yes, you teach them once they can do it. So it's usable, right? So WhatsApp application is usable in so many ways, right? And I don't know if you use WhatsApp in multiple languages. I've seen people, when I was in Middle East last year, I've seen people using WhatsApp in complete Arabic language. Every message they send and receive is in Arabic. So they type in that local language. Here I see people typing it in Telugu and sending it Tamil, Kannada, Malayalam, Hindi, any language. So WhatsApp supports multiple languages as well. So the application is usable. So that's what the definition and the purpose of usability testing is. Usability means everyone should be able to use it, right? Example, if I talk about my course content, ideally I should start my course from this line onwards. These are the first three topics I should talk in chapter 1. But the problem is sometimes, we get few students who wanted even some prerequisites to be just recapped so that everyone is on the same page of understanding, right? And that's also a valid ask. So I have to write some basic things like these so that everyone comes with the same understanding in my day 1 class. So I'm making my chapter 1, day 1, little usable for everyone so that everyone says, okay, now I know when Kiran says positive testing, he means this. When Kiran says non-functional, he means this. Now, all of you know the same definition. Otherwise, if I directly start from here, and the moment I say accessibility testing is non-functional testing, your understanding could be a little different from other person. When I say accessibility testing is a positive testing, your understanding could be different, or you'll say, I don't know what is positive testing, first of all. So I am trying to make my course also usable by introducing some simple points as well on the day 1 class to brush up the concepts, right? This way, students will feel happy. I will also feel happy because I won't get that question again saying, Kiran, I don't know what is positive testing. Please explain again. Okay. So accessibility testing comes under the world, under the family of usability testing, and it is black box testing, non-functional testing, manual testing, automation testing, and positive testing. But still, we haven't discussed the definition of accessibility testing, right? So I will, of course, explain that. But let me again take a pause here. Any questions to me from anyone? Okay. So let's talk about accessibility testing definition, right? So accessibility testing says this internet is for everyone. That is a fundamental. So the objective of accessibility testing is the internet and the developed applications on the internet is for everyone without any discrepancy. Okay, this is like a slogan or a tagline or a punchline for accessibility testing. So when I say I have developed an application, kept it on internet, I cannot say that my application should be used only by this person or only by the people who completed their engineering in computers. So I cannot discriminate. So I can say discrimination rather. So accessibility testing says your application has to be accessible for everyone on the internet, regardless of their technology abilities, physical abilities, mental abilities, network abilities, browser abilities, operating system abilities, etc. So accessibility testing is also called as A11Y testing because there are 11 characters between A and Y in the word accessibility. So I'll write ALI testing. So accessibility testing says the application under test should be accessible for everyone in the world without should be accessible to everyone in the world regardless of their cognitive abilities or disabilities, mental abilities or disabilities, then physical abilities or disabilities, technology skilled abilities or disabilities, regions, regardless of the region in which they're present, regardless of their literacy abilities or disabilities, like this, etc. Anything I can say. Okay. Okay, so that's the definition and the purpose of accessibility testing. So I want to read it again one more time so that you understand it. This internet that we are looking at, the World Wide Web Consortium, is for everyone. Everyone has the right to learn everything on the internet and to access the applications without any issues. Okay, and the developed application should be accessible. Accessible means should be usable. So I'll say should be accessible and usable for everyone in the world, regardless of their cognitive abilities or disabilities. Cognitive abilities talks about their, I would say, their talent or their mind power, I would say, their brain power, I would say, right? I mean, the maturity factor, right? That's what I talk about cognitive. Then you have mental abilities. Again, this talks about whether the person understands small things as small things or big things as big things or small as big, big as small, etc. Physical abilities, this talks about, those users who cannot hear, who cannot speak, who cannot see, who cannot touch, who cannot use the mouse, etc. So physical disability could be there for them. Technology skilled abilities, like, the technology is so hi-fi, so I can't use it. No, there should be a way for them to use it. Meaning, how do you simplify that hi-fi technology for them to use it? Like WhatsApp simplified the audio call facility, the video call facility, right? So we say now, what is so great about WhatsApp? Because we have been used to WhatsApp, we are saying this. Imagine the days before WhatsApp I have faced in my life, right? So when I have to speak to someone in United States or in any other country, I have to go to an internet cafe center outside, and they used to keep a webcam. I have to open the Yahoo Messenger chat or any other video calling software. The camera has to turn on. So much of difficulty was there. Sometimes audio is going, video is not going. Sometimes both of them are not going, and it comes with cost. You have to go stand in the line, write in the register, pay 100 rupees per hour. It comes at a cost. It comes with some difficulties. But WhatsApp simplified that entire process by bringing in video, audio, etc. Right? And that killed so many other businesses as well. Right? So technology also should be made available to every person. That's what accessibility testing tells. Regions. So we cannot say that this software is applicable and usable only in country A, country B, country C. And the rest of the countries, it's not available because we see poor network there. No, we cannot classify like that. Right? There are certain countries, there are certain cities, right? There are certain cities and locations in South Africa, in India, in Australia, in so many other countries as well, where internet is still at a 2G or 3G. They're still working on very poor bandwidth. We cannot say that your application will be slow in your places, so we cannot use it. But how do you simplify your application in those places where the internet is very slow? Because you want even those customers to buy, to give you business. So you cannot discriminate network level also, regions classifications also. Okay, then literacy abilities and disabilities. It talks about, your education again. So your application should not be biased towards education. Like only if you have done engineering or only have done IIT, you will be able to use my application. That kind of differences shouldn't be there. That kind of hi-fi technology shouldn't be there. That's what accessibility testing talks about and preaches about. Okay. So that's about what is accessibility testing, right? And why accessibility testing matters. Like, why is it important? Not because there is a course we are learning it, not because someone is learning it, we have to do accessibility testing. There are laws in every country where the government has created these laws and says that if your application is not usable for a blind user, we can sue you. If the application is not usable because the person is not coming from literacy background, your application can be suable. Certain countries have those laws. America has those laws. In fact, if you Google American Disability Act, you can find it. Europe has something called GDPR, which is a different complaints, but they have so many strict laws that forces companies to do accessibility testing, accessibility development, and develop the applications from accessibility perspective so that every person can use it. Because countries have those laws. Therefore, accessibility is important. So if I develop an application and release in India, maybe in India we don't have strict laws. So it's okay to have that accessibility not conducted because your user base is only India, not outside India. And in India, we don't have such strict laws. Then accessibility doesn't matter here. But it matters in other countries where companies and countries are forcing you to get this done. Okay? Because the internet is for everyone. Okay, so there is a message from student. Everybody is considered equal, empathizing with everyone. Put ourselves in their shoes. Yeah, that's correct. What you said is very correct. Right? And we are definitely going to see all those things like how do I put myself in their shoes and test the applications. That's something we are going to look at it. Okay. So there are different disabilities that are available. Like I think yesterday I was talking about, right? You have visual disability. When I say visual disability, there are multiple categories in visual. Like someone cannot see at all. Someone says I can see partially, like 20% is my vision. Someone says my vision is there, but I cannot see the color. I can see certain colors, I cannot see certain colors. The next vision problem is they see some color as some other color, like red as green, green as blue. How do you solve all these problems in your development and how do you test it first of all? That's one disability that accessibility testing teaches you how to approach it from a testing perspective. We'll talk about them later, okay? But I'm just giving it. Then you have speech. What if the application says, okay, you cannot speak, but can I still use the application? How are you ensuring your application is still usable even if you cannot speak? Now, cannot speak means multiple answers there. One, you cannot speak a particular language, but you can speak some other language. Then translators are there to convert into the language that you want. So someone comes and says, Kiran, I'm speaking French, explain it to them in English. So I become a translator because I understand French, I understand English. So I become a translator and I'm solving the problem. Second issue in speech is the person cannot speak at all by birth or recently he stopped speaking at all. How can he use your application? Right? Maybe you will say, okay, I will give him the option to type if he cannot speak. Yeah, somehow you are fixing the problem. Or you are giving him the option to scribble something on the screen so it will convert it to text as he scribbles like a drawing. That's another way how you solve it. Then hearing. So people say, I cannot hear you. But again, there are multiple categories in hearing. They can hear if you speak loudly. Like our old parents, old grandparents, they cannot hear very clearly unless you go very near to them and shout as loud as you can. That's one problem. Second problem is they hear it something different. Like you say, hey, how are you? They treat it as who are you? That's how they hear it. Third problem is they can't hear at all. So how does your application solve that? So YouTube is an application where hearing is important because you play something in YouTube and you have to hear it. So YouTube came with captions. So turn on the captions and you can read the captions, though you can't hear it. So visually you see the movie and you read it. Okay, let's talk about televisions now. And we have so many OTT channels now, right? OTTs have come. OTTs also have these captions now in local languages. So that's how they're solving hearing issues. Because accessibility matters, because for them, business is important, right? Then if I talk about normal televisions and the serials and the soaps that our parents see, right? Or maybe you might also see. What if there is a person in your home who says, I can't hear it. So what should I do? That's a television, that's a serial I want to watch. I have seen recently in one of the channel where captions are coming even for the serial, that too in local language. That I saw it last week only during Dasra festival. And I was like happy for that. Okay, even the channels, local TV channels also started giving you captions. So they have solved hearing problems like that. Not only captions, transcripts are also there. Right? In YouTube, if you go, a lot of transcripts are there. So directly if you go to a transcript in the comments section or somewhere in that additional about or summary section, you will see transcripts in YouTube. So people can read the transcript if they cannot hear what that guy is speaking in the YouTube. Then you have motor abilities or disabilities. Like what if the person cannot use the mouse because their hand shivers, or they don't have mouse for the time being? Maybe the mouse is not working. It will take 2 days for him to get a new mouse. How can you fix the problem? Keyboard. Keyboard can be used to navigate here and there, left to right, right to left, top to bottom, bottom to left. You can press a tab key to move from one item to another item. You can press a shift plus tab key to move in reverse direction. So motor abilities are also answered in accessibility testing. Then cognitive. Cognitive means people think too much, right? Example, while I'm teaching you now, I'm looking at the time, 8:21 a.m. and I'm like, okay, still 10 more minutes is there. So my mind is looking at the time and I'm speaking and explaining to you. I'm looking at the chat also to see if anyone is putting a question. And I'm also worried about the time because I have to rush to my office as well and attend my important calls in office. So many things are running in my mind. That's like how cognitive behavior is. Now, maybe in your case also, one of you might be on the speaker on your computer or on smartphone, and probably you're having your cup of coffee now. So you're doing two things. One, you are tasting your coffee and getting rejuvenated. You are listening to what Kiran is saying. One of you might be helping your kid complete his notes, or you are just dressing yourself while listening to me. So you're doing multiple things at the same time, right? So cognitive says your brain is thinking multiple things. How can I ensure I get your attention for my application? Right? So Amazon.in tries to solve it. Flipkart tries to solve it. Swiggy, Zomato, every application developed tries to solve these problems. Is the user thinking something else while scrolling my application? If yes, they want to alert the user that, hey, we have this offer to you, something like that. Right? So cognitive is all about figuring out how your application is getting distracted by multiple thoughts of a human being. And usually, people with these cognitive disabilities, they think too much. They overthink. So many images will run in their mind about, okay, my manager shouting at me if I'm going late, that they figure that image in their mind. So how does your application solve these cognitive abilities? We are going to discuss all those things. Okay. And why is accessibility testing important and the benefits of it? See, simple. If you don't do accessibility testing, you are losing some customers, and those customers are not going to give you business. I mean, maybe they won't subscribe to your OTT channel. They go to your competitor. So money is going to your competitor. Your business is going to someone else. You are losing customers. You're losing business, right? And they might sue you also if there is a law in your country, right? So accessibility testing is important from a business perspective, from a user satisfaction perspective, from user retention perspective, and for more and more business in the coming days perspective, right? If your application is not usable, even normal people might go away from your application. Right? Forget about disabled people. As the disabled people are going away, you might feel even the abled people will be going away from your application. So you are losing your customer base. So accessibility testing is a non-functional testing that will help you get more users every day, every year, every month, which in turn gives you more revenue, more business. That's how you thrive financially, and you can support everyone in the industry as well. Right? And trust me, a day will come where even in theaters, in multiplex theaters, captions will start coming in. Right? I think example, if you see in the movies, when the hero or when some character is drinking alcohol or smoking a cigarette, there is a disclaimer on the same screen at the bottom left or on the bottom right. Statutory warning: cigarette smoking is injurious to health, alcohol drinking is injurious to health. They display it, right? Even in televisions they do, even in theaters they do, when the character is doing that. Second thing, when the character is driving too fast, again you get a disclaimer that driving fast is risky to you, go slow always. That is also there. Meaning a mini caption is coming at the bottom to tell a disclaimer. That's not accessibility testing, but for people can read it, what they meant to say here. That's a usability factor they're giving it. Like what message they're giving it when the character is driving too fast or drinking something or smoking something. Right? So accessibility testing is definitely important, guys. Okay. To get more business, to get more user attention, customer satisfaction is also important. Okay. Tomorrow I will talk more about importance of usability testing and accessibility testing. Today I was like telling a theory only. Tomorrow also theory, but I will be writing some examples that the certain bullet points about usability testing, certain bullet points about accessibility testing as well. So tomorrow we'll be able to complete this full chapter. Today, what we discussed is the quick recap of our primary objective, secondary objective, multiple testing techniques, and testing types. So finally, we know what is accessibility testing. And we know it comes under usability testing family. And it is a non-functional testing, positive testing, manual testing or automation testing, and black box testing as well. Right? So I'm going to show you some automation tools in this course, which are obviously present in my course content. So if you see in chapter 5, all the tools I'm teaching are here. You don't have to write any code in these tools. These tools are code-less tools. You need to just use the tool, configure what you want. That's it. There is zero coding in these tools. Okay, so I will say this is code-less automation testing. Whatever I'm teaching, and most of it is. Yeah, I see some other messages for cognitive abilities, attention deficit, low attention span. Yeah, that's correct. Perfect. Good wordings, in fact. Okay, so that's all I have for today's class, guys. Tomorrow, we are still in chapter 1 and we will complete chapter 1 tomorrow. Okay. And regarding the notes, this is rough notes, whatever you see here, right? Whatever I'm writing, this is typically my rough notes. This is not important. I have written the notes clearly in my Google Drive, like I have told you earlier. I will give access to the Google Drive notes where clearly every point is mentioned. Okay. So I'm sure you guys are enjoying the content. If you have any questions, you can ask me now on the chat, or you can unmute and ask, or in the WhatsApp group also you can ask. Let me see if there are any questions for me. Okay, I see. Thank you. Thank you from Anu and ER. Thank you. Okay, guys, and I request you guys, if you find this course interesting and something that you are looking at, please talk to Isha team, complete your enrollments so that we can start giving you access to the notes as well. And whatever class we have done today, it's recorded, meaning I'm recording it now, and I will give access to this today's class in the WhatsApp group, but give me like 2 to 3 hours. Once the processing is completed, we will give access. Okay, ER says he'll be joining. Thank you. So tomorrow also we have the class the same time. I request you guys to join the class tomorrow as well. Okay, the first 3 classes are free for everyone, and everyone can join and try to taste how this course is structured and is it something that you are going to benefit. And any question you have, like, Kiran, do you think this is correct for me? Are you going to teach this? Are you going to teach that? Are you going to teach in the same pace, or you're going to teach much better? Any questions you have, feel free to ask me. Okay. Fine then. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sri. Thank you, Prashant. Thank you, Anu. Thank you, everyone. See you guys tomorrow again. Have a good day. Okay. Yarse is testing the waters before I take a leap into the ocean of accessibility. Good one. Thank you. Cool, guys. Then I think we'll all have to head to office now. Thank you very much for your time. Good day in your office. Bye bye. See you tomorrow.